This is your ultimate stop for everything sports. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Should I say more? From the NFL, MLB, the NBA to MMA, it's all in here. The Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast. Listen now.
And welcome to the GSMC Sports Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. And as always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. All right, it's Friday, end of the week finally. Here it is. It's May 4th. And let me tell you what we got going on today. So first up, we got Cavs Raptors. Toronto never ceases to amaze. All right, it is just honestly kind of impressive with how much they shrink when it comes to playing Cleveland. So we're going to be talking about that for the first segment. We'll head over to Boston and talk about their series with Philly. They had game 2 yesterday. And then we will also be talking about Tiger Woods. He's back on the course. And then we got Matt Harvey getting cut by the Mets. All right, designated for an assignment. So we'll be talking about all that today in the show. And then, as you know, we'll finish off the show talking about whatever else it is that's going on in the world of sports. All right? It's going to be a fun show. I'm going to enjoy it. You'll enjoy it. Everyone's going to enjoy it. Okay? And with the Cavs, I mean, I don't, like, this is a very weird team right now because of the fact that this is probably the worst team LeBron has had in quite some time. But somehow, some way, they're continuing to get wins, okay? And I'm not really sure if it's because Toronto just shrinks or maybe the Cavs are just a better team. But anyway, we'll talk about the score. We'll get into the game a bit, and then we'll give my thoughts on everything. So, we had Cleveland beating Toronto, like I said, 128-110. LeBron had 43 points, 14 assists, 8 rebounds, shot 19-28, 1 of 3 from the three-point line. Kevin Love finally had a good game, 31 points, 11 rebounds, shot 11-21, 2 of 6 from the three-point line. George Hill also played well, had 13 points there, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 5 of 8. Kyle Korver had 5 points, shot 2 of 3. J.R. Smith had 15 points, shot 5 of 8 from the field, 2 of 3 from the three-point line. And then off the bench, you had Jeff Green, who had 14 points, 2 blocks, 1 steal, or 1 assist, 1 rebound. Shot 5 of 8, 4 of 6 from the three-point line. Jordan Clarkson had 5 points. Rodney Hood, goose egg, no points there. And then you had Tristan Thompson, who played 15 minutes but only had 2 points and 2 rebounds. For the Raptors, you had Serge Ibaka with only 2 points, went 0 of 5 from the field, had 6 rebounds in 12 minutes. OG Anunoby had 5 points, shot 2 of 5. Jonas Valanciunas had 16 points, 12 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 8 of 11. Kyle Lowry played well in this one, had 21 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds. Shot 7 of 10, 3 of 6 from the three-point line. DeMar DeRozan struggled to shoot the ball a bit. 24 points, 3 assists, shot 11-23, 0 of 5 from the three-point line. And then off the bench, you had CJ Miles with 8 points, went 3 of 5 from the field. Jacob Poeltl had 8 points, shot 3 of 3. Fred VanVleet had 14 off the bench, shot 5 of 10, 4 of 7 from the three-point line. Also had 4 assists. And then you had DeLon Wright with 5 points there, 4 assists, 4 rebounds, shot 2 of 4. All right. And like I said, you saw the score. You watched the game. Cavs win 128-110. I'm not really sure what's wrong with this Toronto team. Okay. I mean, going into the game, I was talking about how game 2, it wasn't a must win. And I think we talked about this yesterday, actually. I said game 2, it's not a must win. Toronto still got a shot, even if they lose. Okay. And that was me more so just thinking logically about it all rather than bringing in past stuff as far as Toronto's performances in the playoffs. But it's a matter of logically thinking for this series isn't really going to work. Okay? Because of the fact that I'm not sure why, but it's true. Toronto just shrinks when they say Cleveland. Okay? This was the time for Toronto to take over. This was the time for them to get out past Cleveland and to advance to the Eastern Conference Finals. Okay, this was that year. Team is the best it's ever been. Okay, and LeBron's team is about as weak as it's ever been. And it looks like now it doesn't even matter. You're down 2-0, and it's not like you're down 2-0 heading home. You're down 2-0 heading to Cleveland now. Okay? Losing those first two games was inexcusable for the Raptors. The fact that they couldn't get one kind of shows that it's not going to work. Okay, I'm not sure really if there's any Raptors fans out there whatsoever that think they still got a shot. Okay, and if they do, then it's just pure blind faith right there. Okay, because the fact of the matter is, LeBron has been great all playoffs long. We've known this. I mean, we're pretty much just shrugging our shoulders at this guy scoring 40 a game. Okay? I think he's had how many games has he played so far? 7 games. So he's played about 9 games. I think 4 or 5 of those games in the playoffs so far, he's had over 40 points. And we're just refusing to talk about it. It's just oh, it's not surprising at all. I mean, LeBron has been that good. Okay? So LeBron has been great in the playoffs, but Kevin Love, besides game 2, has struggled. George Hill has struggled. The bench has struggled. The whole team has struggled pretty much. So that was the time for the Raptors to go out and say, you know what? We got to get a game here before they wake up. And they still couldn't do that. Now, they're going back to Cleveland, which is going to be a tough place to win. And you got to get probably, honestly, you got to get 2. They go back 3-1 to Toronto. I don't like Toronto's chances at all, even given the fact that they'd be at home. Okay? And I mean, even now, so who's to say that Toronto doesn't even get swept? I mean, it's not that far off. I picked Toronto in 6. I was very wrong about that. Now I'm at the point where Cleveland's going to win this series. Okay? And I mean, maybe I was a bit naive going into Game 2 saying that it wasn't a must-win because I didn't think about what would happen after. But, I mean, Game 2, yeah, it was a must-win. I was wrong about that. I didn't realize that there would be so much to come from it, from them losing again. Because now we live in the day and age of social media pretty much being king out here. And everyone seems to be freaking out. Okay, we got the LeBronto jokes. We got jokes about DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, and it's just a matter of, they're seeing this. Okay? And it's one thing for the Raptors to lose because they're just playing bad basketball. But, I mean, they're out here putting up 110 plus points against the Cavs in these first 2 games. Okay, I'm not really sure what happened to the Toronto's defense. I'm not going to go out and say that it was the best in the league. But nonetheless, they had a very solid defense. And now it's just a matter of they don't even know what to do. They don't know how to attack Cleveland's offense. Okay? And just with Toronto, I mean, maybe we start having the talk that we're having about with Washington and Portland. Is it time to blow up the core? I don't think so. But something's got to change. Okay? You can't keep making it into the playoffs, looking great in the regular season, and then just losing when the stage gets too big. All right? That's just not acceptable at all. Kyle Lowry played good yesterday, okay? One of the Raptors' biggest problems in the playoffs the last few years is that Kyle Lowry has pretty much just not showed up. He's been terrible. This year in the playoffs, Kyle Lowry's actually played pretty well. All right? He's not averaging 30 points a game or anything like that. He's averaging around 20, around there. All right? Putting up nice assist numbers. DeMar DeRozan, I mean, he went, 11-24 from the field, 11-23. Those aren't relatively bad numbers. It's a little under 50% from the field. I'm just not really sure what else this Raptors team needs to do in order to, in order to just win. I mean, what else? Obviously you got to play solid defense, but it's a matter of, maybe it's just the Cavs are too good. Maybe we undersold the Cavs a bit. I'm really trying to find answers as to why Toronto is just this bad when it comes to playing Cleveland. Okay? I mean, if you were watching that game, it's not like Toronto even had a chance either. I mean, once the second half came, it was over. And game one is going to be one where Toronto is really kicking themselves in the behind because of the fact that that's the one that they should have won. Okay? It's not like Cleveland played great for the first two games. They played great in game two. Game one, Cleveland had no business winning that game. At all. Toronto basically just handed it to them. Okay, now you got DeMar DeRozan after the game saying that they thrive off of adversity. When? When have they ever thrived off of adversity? I mean, I couldn't tell you. I'm sure he couldn't tell me either. We've had adversity the last 3 years in the playoffs, and you've shrunk. All right? I'm not sure if it's just them trying to get the rest of the guys hyped up, or maybe it's just all they can believe at this point. Because the Raptors don't look good. The Cavs look okay, and they're still dominating. All right? So it's going to be interesting to see. I think we got game 3 on Saturday. That, without a doubt, is a must-win for Toronto. If Toronto does not win game 3, they're getting swept, I think. Okay? I just don't see how they pick themselves up after that. And I'm just curious to see, like, how much longer can Toronto's front office continue to put out this team when you know it's not going to work. This team isn't going to win. I'm not saying blow everything up, but I'm just saying you got to figure something else up. All right, because DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry, they're not going to get the job done. You need something. Like, they got a bench. Ibaka's played well. Well, I mean, he played well this season. Valanciunas has played well in the playoffs. But there's just something still missing with this team, and I'm not really sure what it is. All right? But I think we've all come to know that DeMar DeRozan and Kyle Lowry aren't good enough to lead their team in the playoffs. Maybe it's just that they're not alpha-type players. They're not leaders there. Because if you think about it, I mean, who is the leader on the Toronto Raptors? I feel like it's kind of like a team type of thing where they don't really have like that set captain type leader guy. You know? Like with the Cavs, obviously it's LeBron. Okay? With the Warriors, it's Steph. The Rockets, it's James Harden. Over here with Boston, it's like Al Horford. Okay? Maybe that's just what it is right there. The Raptors just don't have that alpha type player, but I'm not sure. I'm just grasping for straws here. I'm just entirely confused as to the fact why Toronto has just completely shrunk against Cleveland. So we'll see, but like I said, it's not looking good for them. They don't win game 3. I say they get swept. All right. So we'll see what ends up coming from this, but nonetheless, we're going to wrap it up here. Next up, we're going to be talking about Celtics Sixers from yesterday, talk about Ben Simmons a bit. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for the very best NFL and college football podcast? Then check out the GSMC Football Podcast. Get the latest football news both on and off the field. From the NFL Draft to trades to the rumor mill to the NFL Combines. They got you covered. That's GSMCpodcast.com/football-podcast. Get updates on college rivalries, game day insights, and much, much more. It's football talk the way you want it. This show eats, sleeps, and breathes football. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. So far today, we've just talked about Cavs Raptors. Toronto didn't win Game 3. It's a sweep. All right, I don't even think Toronto can even make it back in this series, but I mean, at least just come away with some dignity at least. I mean, do it for your fans or whatever. I mean, because those poor fans were believing that this was their year. This was going to be the year they finally get past the Cavs and they finally do something in the playoffs. And it's just a matter of, yeah, it's not. All right. So we'll see what ends up happening with the Raptors. Maybe, who knows, maybe they can make it a series again and take 2 out of Cleveland. I mean, it's not looking likely just given up with how they've played, but who knows? Maybe. All right. But we did have another game going on yesterday on Thursday, and that was the Celtics going up against the Philadelphia 76ers. All right. You remember game 1, Celtics pretty much dominated that one from start to finish. Philly had no answer. And here, for this game, I said that Philly was going to play better. So they were going to come out, and I believe I even picked them to win. And they were a whole lot better yesterday. Came out strong, played great, had a big lead, but nonetheless ended up giving that one up. So they lost 108 to 103 for the Sixers. You had Dario Saric with 14 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, shot 4 of 13, 2 of 6 from the three-point line. Robert Covington played really well in this game. He had 22 points, 2 assists, 9 rebounds, had 2 steals, 2 blocks, shot 8 of 15 from the field, 4 of 7 from the three-point line. Joel Embiid struggled to shoot the ball in this one. He had 20 points, 14 rebounds, 5 assists, shot 8 of 22, 1 of 6 from the three-point line. Ben Simmons pretty much just had the worst game of his rookie year so far. He had 1 point, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, 5 turnovers, shot 0 of 4 from the field, and just didn't look good at all. If anything, he was probably Philly's worst player on the floor, okay? Philly lost this game by 5. And when Ben Simmons was on the floor, he was a minus 23, okay? About as bad as you could play yesterday. J.J. Redick had 23 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, shot 9 of 17, 5 of 9 from the three-point line. J.J. Redick was on it all game long. I mean, first half looked like he couldn't miss. Second half comes back down to earth a little bit, but nonetheless, I mean, he was clutch for them when they needed him to hit shots, and it's just Philly couldn't pull it out. Off the bench, you had Marco Bellinelli with 11 points, 3 assists, shot 5 of 11, 1 of 4 from the three-point line. Aaron Ilyasova had 4 points, 6 rebounds, shot 2 of 6. And then you had TJ McConnell, who had 8 points, 5 assists, 2 steals, shot 4 of 4, was a plus 16. And that was a team best right there, like by far. All right. The next highest plus minus was Ilyasova with a plus 9. No Markelle Fultz in this one. Still not really sure why he's not getting any minutes. Okay, like it's not a big problem or anything like that, but I figure with the way the first 2 games have gone, seeing how game 1 went, and it seemed like Philly was really losing a grasp of game 2. Maybe you throw out Markelle Fultz to shift it up a bit, but they didn't do that. So yeah, he hasn't played yet in these first 2 games. For the Celtics, you had Al Horford with 13 points, 5 assists, 12 rebounds, shot 5 of 9, 0 of 2 from the three-point line. Also had pretty much the dagger at the end of the game. I think the Celtics were up by 3. Time's winding down. Shot clock's about to go off. 4 seconds left in the shot clock. And one thing I noticed with Embiid yesterday is that guy goes for any pump fake. It doesn't matter. Like, he did not learn at all throughout the game that, hey, maybe I shouldn't go for every pump fake. But nonetheless, Horford pump fakes it. And Embiid kind of caught himself here, but it was a little too late. Horford drives past him, ends up getting the layup. And that pretty much all but sealed the game for the Celtics there with a few seconds left. So yeah, he played well. Jason Tatum has played extremely well in these first 2 games. He had 21 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 block, 1 steal. Shot 7 of 14, 2 of 4 from the three-point line. Aaron Baines with the start again here. Had 5 points, 4 rebounds. Wasn't that great on the floor. Was a minus 16 there. Shot 2 of 6. Did hit a 3 though. Marcus Smart shot the ball pretty well in this one. 4 mark, I guess about as well as you can if you're Marcus Smart. He had 19 points, 2 steals, 1 block, 3 assists, 5 rebounds, shot 6 of 13 from the field, 4 of 10 from the three-point line. It's funny, too, because I think at one point he was 4 of 5 from the three-point line and just eventually just slipped up a bit. Terry Rozier started off the game pretty shaky, wasn't playing well, and then once they made that run in the second quarter, he was pretty much good for the rest of the game. He had 20 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds, shot 6 of 15, 4 of 9 from the three-point line. And then off of the bench, you had Marcus Morris with 11 points, 6 rebounds, shot 3 of 8, 2 of 3 from the three-point line. And with Marcus Morris, I mean, he was okay yesterday. Let's see, he shot 3 of 8. I mean, it wasn't great, but it's just a matter of the dude looked so good during the regular season and even in the first round of the playoffs. With these first 2 games of the Philly series, he has not really shot the ball too well. Then you had Greg Monroe, who finally got some minutes here and got 6 minutes, had 6 points, 1 rebound, shot 2 of 4. I mean, it was only 6 minutes, but you could tell that Greg Monroe, he did bring in he was productive when he was out there. All right, gave Boston some breathing room, allowed him to come back a bit before he went out. And then you had Jaylen Brown, who's been dealing with a hamstring injury from both games. Decided to play in this one, played 25 minutes, didn't start, had 13 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist, shot 5 of 12, 2 of 5 from the three-point line. All right. And like I said, Boston ended up winning this one 108-103. So now let's talk about the game. All right. First quarter comes. Philly's off to a hot start. You can tell they're already going to be 10 times better than what they were in game 1. J.J. Redick can't miss. Okay, and it was more so J.J. Redick in that first quarter than anyone else that was doing something for Philly. Like, you had guys like Embiid pretty much producing a bit, but it was more so J.J. Redick in that first quarter. Okay, Sixers in the first quarter up 31-22, and eventually in the second quarter they end up jumping out to like a 22 to 25 point lead. I think it was one of those. Okay. And, I mean, it's just pure domination. Boston, this has been Boston's thing, too, in the second quarter. They haven't played well in any second quarter, I feel, this season long, or this postseason, except for maybe game 1 against Philly. Okay? But, yeah, so Boston's not looking good. They can't really get anything going, and Philly's just hitting shot after shot after shot. Eventually, Boston gets a stop or two. They get a score or two on the offensive side of the ball, and it looks like they're about to start a run. Okay? If you're Philly, you assume in order to counteract the momentum, you take time off the shot clock and you run plays. All right, you get like solid offensive possessions. That wasn't the case at all. Philly's still taking 3 after 3, not getting any good shots. Boston's starting to chip away at the lead. Okay, eventually gets to like 15, mid-teens as far as the deficit. If you're Brett Brown, you assume, yeah, I'm going to call a timeout to just pretty much get everyone gathered up again a bit, maybe call an out-of-bounds play or something like that, and pretty much just, get everyone regrouped. All right, because that's what you do when the team's on a run. You can't seem to do anything that works. You call a timeout, pretty much just run a new game plan. Brett Brown never called timeout. Okay, Boston's just boom, boom on the run, is hitting everything. Okay, Terry Rozier's hitting pull-up threes, looking good. And Philly just refused to call timeout, and I don't understand why. Okay, that was one of the biggest questions after the first half is why Brett Brown didn't call timeout. But unless he doesn't, Boston ends up taking the lead down to 4 once the half ends. And, I mean, all of the momentum in that game just completely shifted to Boston there. Okay, like it was ridiculous. But nonetheless, third quarter comes, and Philly doesn't come out flat. But nonetheless, they still give up the lead to Boston. And it was a back-and-forth game after that. I mean, Philly did regain the lead a bit. I mean, I think at one point they were even up 5 in the fourth quarter. And it's just a matter of they couldn't keep Boston away. Okay? Boston just kept coming, and kept playing well. And eventually they end the game winning 108-103. And one thing that I noticed with Ben Simmons is that if you clog up the paint, he is basically useless. Okay? Ben Simmons was by far Philly's worst player on the court yesterday. Like, it wasn't close either. And, I mean, the guy only finished with 1 point. And with Boston clogging up the paint, Ben Simmons couldn't really drive in or anything like that to get points. And even when he did find himself in the paint, I mean, it was tough to get a shot near the rim. You could tell that Ben Simmons was a bit shook in this one. Okay? He even talked about it after the game. Pretty much said that he was overthinking everything and just pretty much got away from what he knows. Okay? And with Philly, I mean, Ben Simmons really didn't play for a lot of the third quarter and then some of the fourth. They had TJ McConnell out there. And like I said, TJ McConnell was what, a plus 16, I think it was? Let me double check it. TJ McConnell was a plus 16. Only played 17 minutes. And I understand with Ben Simmons, that's one of your best players, so you want him out there in crunch time. But there's a point where you got to win this game, and TJ McConnell does give you the best opportunity to win that given game. Okay? And again, I don't hate the fact that Brett Brown brought Ben Simmons back in the fourth quarter, but the Sixers looked like maybe they could have pulled it out with McConnell, and as soon as they threw Simmons back out there, it just completely went back to Boston's favor. Okay, Brad Stevens, and I talked about this before the series too when I was making my prediction. This was one of the biggest things why I picked the Celtics was because of the fact that I figured Brad Stevens would drop some type of game plan to limit Ben Simmons, and that's exactly what he's done for the first two games. Okay, you limit Simmons, you limit Ilyasova, Bellinelli, and Saric. Saric didn't really shoot the ball too well. Ilyasova only got six shots off, hit two of them. Bellinelli was okay. He shot 5 of 11, only 1 of 4 from 3. I mean, maybe this is where you go to a guy like Markelle Fultz. Okay, you have him run point. Maybe start him or something. I'm just trying to throw things out there to see what Philly could possibly do for games 3 or games 4, because, I mean, it's a matter of if Boston's clogging up the paint, their game plan is just to force everything to the outside, to the three-point line. Ben Simmons has nothing to do there. Okay. And Boston, I think, is perfectly fine letting guys like Embiid and take threes because of the fact that they're still playing solid defense out there. But anytime it looked like Simmons was ready to drive in, there'd be about 3 different guys in the paint. And as soon as Simmons sees him, he's not going to go up and pull up for a mid-range jump shot or anything like that because he can't. So we'll see really what Brett Brown draws up in order to get Ben Simmons more productive in games 3 and games 4. But it's a matter of if the guy can't shoot and Boston continues to plug up the paint, maybe you have Markelle Fultz run the point guard position, or maybe you just have TJ McConnell play a whole bunch out there. Okay, because like I said, TJ McConnell looked a whole lot better than Ben Simmons. And when McConnell was out there in the fourth quarter, I figured, you know what, if they keep this guy in there, they're probably going to win this game because of how well he's been playing. But they ended up going with Simmons still, so we'll see. But, I mean, the Celtics are looking good for the first 2 games. Yes, they were at home, but nonetheless, they weren't favorites or anything in this series. So we'll see what they end up doing in games 3, games 4. I do think that Boston is going to take one road game in Philly, and if they do that, then, I mean, going back to Boston up 3-1 is probably the best thing that could happen to them. So we'll see. And like I said, Boston being up 2-0 in a series, they're 36-0, and I don't think Philly has ever won a series when they were down 2-0 or 0-2. So we'll see what ends up going on. But we're going to wrap it up there. Next up, we're probably going to be talking about Tiger Woods and Matt Harvey. Not sure yet. Maybe we'll talk about both. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. So far today, we've talked Cavs, we've talked Celtics. All right, Cavs up 2-0 on Toronto. I mean, Toronto's got to do better here. They got to do something. I mean, it's almost kind of embarrassing the fact that they played so well this regular season. Oh, don't count us out. We're going to be good finally and all that. And it's just a matter of, LeBron, yeah, we're down 2-0. All right. And then we got Philly versus Boston, where, I mean, the underdogs are currently up 2-0. And it seems like they've drawn up the perfect game plan to stop Ben Simmons, and that's not to guard him at the three-point line and just clog up the paint. All right, I just saw a picture right now in the game where it's Simmons handling the ball at the three-point line, and you got Horford and Baines pretty much just standing at the elbows of the paint. Ben Simmons is never going to get through there, so, I mean, why not do that? All right, so we got the Celtics up 2-0. Terry Rozier's playing well. Jason Tatum's playing well. Al Horford's playing well. Pretty much the entire Celtics team is playing well. It's going to be interesting to see, though, how they play in Philly. All right, because I'm sure Philly's going to end up getting one win at Philly at least. So it's a matter of Boston needs to get at least one there too, so we'll see what ends up happening. But for this segment, we're going to have ourselves a baseball segment, all right? I think last time we had a baseball segment was the World Series, I think. There hasn't been really too much going on, but nonetheless, we're going to just talk about all things going on. And let's start off with Matt Harvey, okay? Matt Harvey has been a very, I think polarizing might be the word, figure in New York for the Mets. Okay, with the Yankees, you always get the flashy guys. Now you got like Giancarlo Stanton out there, Aaron Judge, guys like that, A-Rods, the Derek Jeters, okay? Like the top players. The Mets have always been the little brother to the Yankees. Okay, the Mets have never really had the flashy guys or anything like that. Okay. But nonetheless, Matt Harvey, at one point, 6 years ago or whatever, looked like he could be that. And eventually became that. Okay? And now, it's over. Matt Harvey was designated for an assignment today. So now he is no longer a Met. I think the Mets could still trade him, but I'm not really sure who's going to trade for him. Okay? And it's one of those things where Matt Harvey is a party guy. Okay? And I remember watching an E60 episode where they did a little thing on him, and he's pretty much, he loves that New York lifestyle, just that big player lifestyle. Okay? And I think it was a few days ago where he had to start, and I think it was Sandy Alderson or Mickey Callaway that was asked about pretty much why he played poorly. They saw the fact that he was out the night before partying and stuff like that. And I think Sandy Alderson or it was Mickey Callaway said, I can't remember exactly who said it, but nonetheless, they weren't surprised by it or anything like that. And I mean, dealing with Matt Harvey, I'm sure has been a headache. It seems like they've been trying to trade him, or at least talks of them trading him have gone up last couple of years. I mean, Boston was a team at one point where like maybe Boston's going to try and pull something off there, but it seemed like the Mets and Matt Harvey were never really truly a match. Okay. And the only reason why Matt Harvey got designated for an assignment is because of the fact that he refused to go down to the minors. Okay. And it seems like Matt Harvey is one who's drinking his own Kool-Aid a little bit too much. All right. I saw that the plan with the Mets was pretty much just to have him find himself a bit more, find himself again, and pretty much just get his head back on straight as far as the game of baseball goes. Okay. And I have no problem with players who party or anything like that because they're no different than us. But it's a matter where if it becomes a distraction, then it's a problem. Okay? Rob Gronkowski does it in the NFL. It's not a problem because of the fact that he's always showed up to work. But when there's questions of maybe he didn't pitch well because of the fact that he's out the night before, like that's a big problem there. And I'm not really too big on guys who think that they're untouchable and all that, because I kind of get the feeling that's what's going on with Matt Harvey here. So, I mean, obviously, with them getting rid of him, I think it's a good move for the Mets, okay? The Mets right now, I think, are what, 17-11, 17-12, number one team in the NL East? You don't need problems like that on your team, okay? They haven't gone out and said it, but I'm sure Matt Harvey probably wasn't the most well-liked guy in the locker room. Seems like he's just pretty much just a guy with a big ego there. All right, and putting that in New York isn't going to work out. I don't think anyone with a big ego has ever worked out in New York. Okay? So now it's just a matter of what's next for Matt Harvey. I mean, it's not like he's an ace or anything like that anymore, or at least he hasn't shown to be in a while. All right? And I'm sure he's going to want to go to a team in a big city. Maybe the Yankees end up picking him up. Maybe. But I don't, if I'm the Yankees, I wouldn't do that, just given to see how he did in New York, or did with the Mets. I mean, what difference would you expect there? If anything, it'd probably get worse, because now he's a Yankee, like now he's playing for the actual team of New York. So I don't see that happening. As far as Boston, I don't see that happening. I mean, I don't really, like, Matt Harvey's going to end up somewhere. Someone's going to give him a chance. But it's just a matter of if Matt Harvey's going to take that opportunity and work with it. All right, he hasn't looked good in a while. It's just pretty much been this whole ongoing thing for a while, like for the last few years, honestly, with Matt Harvey and the Mets. And I feel like the Mets pretty much did what they could to reel him in. All right? I think it was, I can't remember, they had a press conference today talking about it. I think it was Mickey Callaway saying that they failed Matt Harvey. Okay? They tried reaching to him, and it's just a matter of they couldn't get to him. And with Matt Harvey, I mean, I feel like you got this opportunity playing in a big city, playing for a very decent team at this point, and he just simply blew it. Okay? The Mets should have been great for the last 5 years or so, for the last few years. When you get guys like Syndergaard, and I understand like there's injuries and stuff like that, but when you guys like Syndergaard, DeGrom, Harvey, okay, they should really, your rotation should be the best in baseball. But nonetheless, it's just one of those things where it just didn't work out. This is one of those where playing in a big city is sometimes not the best for everyone. Okay? Send Matt Harvey to like Pittsburgh or something, to Colorado, where it's not a big city or anything like that, not a big media market, and see how he does. All right, I don't see him going to New York with the Yankees because of the fact that the dude doesn't play well. They're gonna boo him, and it's not gonna work there. Okay, Yankees fans are ruthless. I mean, you saw them booing Giancarlo Stanton when he was struggling for the first few weeks of the season. Over in Boston, they wouldn't take Matt Harvey. I mean, they barely even like David Price. Okay. But nonetheless, I mean, as far as Matt Harvey goes, I mean, he's got to figure it out. If anything, this should be a wake-up call for him. He's not untouchable. All right. The Mets, I mean, haven't been a great team for the last few years, and they still designated him for an assignment. So we'll see what ends up coming from it, but I do like the move by the Mets, getting rid of him. I think it's a long time coming. It's just something that was never going to work out. Harvey didn't see eye to eye with the team, and the team didn't see eye to eye with Harvey. So you can't really blame him. But nonetheless, okay, we get this. We talked about the Red Sox and Yankees a bit. Red Sox currently 22-9. All right, kind of reeling off from that hot start they had. And the Yankees, looks like they're, I think, a game back or a half game back. Let me double check. So Yankees, yeah, they're a game back. 21-10. Red Sox are 22-9. There was that one point where the sky was falling for the Yankees. All right, the whole Stanton thing wasn't working out. Red Sox were looking like the best team in baseball, which they still, I'd say probably the Yankees and Red Sox are probably the two best teams in baseball, unless you want to argue that the Diamondbacks are the best. So those are probably the top three teams right there. But as far as top two teams in the AL, it's got to be Boston and New York. And it just seems like with New York, I mean, Stanton's pretty much found himself. All right. He started to, maybe it was just nerves that had him struggle so much in the first few weeks of the season. But now it seems like he's starting to get the hang of playing. And that's one thing, too. I mean, you're going from the Miami Marlins to the New York Yankees. All right. With the Marlins, I mean, they don't even show up to the games or anything like that. With the Yankees, it's pretty much like you better win or you're going to hear it from us. Okay. And it seems like Stanton learned how to deal with that, and that's why everyone's playing well right now. Last 10 games, I mean, the Yankees are 9-1. The last 10, Boston's 5-5. I'd have to say right now, the Yankees are the hotter team. All right. So we'll see what ends up happening. It's still an early season. And as far as Boston goes, I mean, David Price, last 3 starts, has looked pretty shaky. Chris Sale, I don't think has been as dominant as he was last season to start. Rick Porcello was kind of off and on. Drew Pomeranz is back, but he's not really looking too good. I mean, the only plus for the Red Sox right now is the fact that Mookie Betts is looking like a potential MVP, and JD Martinez is hitting the ball about as well as you can. So we'll see what ends up happening. But as of right now, these are the two best teams in baseball in the AL. I mean, the Astros are 20-13, but I just don't think they're as good as the Yankees or Red Sox right now. So we'll see. But yeah, we're going to wrap it up here. Next up, we're going to be talking about anything else going on in the world of sports. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
All right, and welcome back to the GSMC Sports Podcast. So far today, we've talked Celtics Philly. All right, Celtics are up 2-0 in that series. Bit of surprise to some. I had them winning in 7, but now it's looking like if they get one of the road games in Philly, they could just very well win Game 5 in Boston and be done with it. We get Cavs up 2-0 on the Raptors. I picked Raptors in 6. That's wrong. Raptors very well may get swept in this series. And then we've talked baseball, actually. All right. Usually we don't, but nonetheless, we did talk baseball here. Talked about Matt Harvey getting cut by the Mets. I mean, it needed to happen. This was a relationship that was not going to work out. And we talked a bit about the Yankees and Red Sox too. Yankees looking pretty good right now. So now, as you know, for the 4th segment, we talk about anything else going on in the world of sports. So let's do that. All right, we got golf. All right, we only talk golf when there's a certain person out there, and that is Tiger Woods. All right. Is that currently at a 2 over par for round 2 of the Wells Fargo Championship. Let's see, he's at a +2. And he's finished with his day today. Shot a 71 today, I believe it is. Or was it yesterday? Shot a 71 in round 1, shot a 73 in round 2. And it looks like he's barely going to make the cut. Looks like the projected cut's going to be at +2. So yeah, he'll barely get in. Let's see, you guys where's Patrick Reed, Masters winner at? Patrick Reed is at even, finished even today. Let me see, or is he still playing? I think he might still be going, but nonetheless, last time I checked, he was at even over par. Phil Mickelson's at a +1. And then Rory McIlroy is even par right now. I think he's still golfing right now. Let's see, who's the winner, or who's winning so far? Aaron Wise is at 6 under par, 3 under today. All right. Then you got Paul Casey, who's tied for 3rd at 5 under. Jason Day also at 5 under. Let's see, any other big names there we need to bring up? Jason Duffer's at 2 under. All right, so we still got, Tiger's not completely out of it. Okay, obviously he's going to need a great round 3 and round 4 in order to maybe try and win or at least finish in the top 5. As far as the top 10 goes, that's still a possibility. Okay, he just needs to really finish at probably 4 under par if he wants to make top 10. But nonetheless, Tiger Woods, man. I think what I'm trying to get at here is that we just need to enjoy Tiger being out there. Okay, the whole expecting him to win tournaments and stuff is kind of in the past now. People thought he'd win the Masters, and that was just a few betted on him to win the Masters. I'm sorry. That was a real prisoner of the moment type of thing from you. So now it's just a matter of, is Tiger ever going to go out and win a major? It's possible, but it's Tiger Woods, okay? It's just an old Tiger Woods here. You can't really depend on him anymore. All right, so it looks like he's barely going to make the cut there. We'll see what he does in rounds 3 and rounds 4, but let's pump the brakes as far as what we are expecting to see from Tiger. All right, so let's see. What else is going on in the world of sports right now? Raiders signed Derek Johnson, linebacker from the Chiefs, to play for them now. I don't like that move. All right. Derek Johnson is 35, okay, and seems like he's way past his prime. I'm not really sure what John Gruden has planned here because of the fact that it really does seem like he's trying to take football back to the 90s. I'm not really sure why he's doing that. I'm not really sure why he's choosing to go against everything that the NFL is doing now. Okay, but I don't understand, with your defense being as bad as it was last season, obviously you needed linebackers, but I feel a guy like Derek Johnson isn't that guy that you pick up to fix it. Okay, the guy's 35. How many more years does he have? The Chiefs let him go because he was old. If the Chiefs thought he still had something in him, they would have kept him. Okay? And it's just with the Raiders, I don't even think they've gotten better at their wide receiver position either. You cut Crabtree, it seemed like it was one of those locker room type of things, and then you bring in Jordan Nelson and Martavis Bryant. That's not really an upgrade at all. Okay? Your draft was pretty suspect, and your secondary still hasn't been really upgraded or improved. I don't really like what the Raiders got going on here. Okay, and it's not like Gruden's going to get fired after a year or anything like that. He's probably got about 4 years for sure to where he can build up a team But it's a matter of, I still don't get why Mark Davis gave him that big contract. I understand they're moving to Vegas and all that, so now you want to create buzz. But it's a matter of, you could have gave Gruden maybe a 7-year, 6-year deal or whatever, but you gave him a 10-year deal with $100 million. What was the rationale there? Gruden, I think, is vastly overrated as a coach. Yes, he won a Super Bowl with Tampa Bay. Okay, but after that, he really did nothing. Okay? Literally, not much. He was a 500 coach at best. Why do we think of Gruden as a top coach? Was it because of him in the Monday night booth? Maybe we thought, hey, this guy's a little bit smarter or whatever. Who knows? All right. But I'm not really too happy with the moves the Raiders have been making. I think if anything, they might have even gotten worse this offseason, which is pretty hard to do given with how bad they played last season. But I don't know. We'll see. All right. Then let's see what else is going on here. We got a couple of games going on tonight in the NBA, but I'll get to those in a bit. Let's see. What else? We got Sam Darnold. Looking like he could possibly end up being the starter for day one. Obviously, we got to go through training camp and all that, but it seems like that's been a door that's been left open for him. Okay, which I'm kind of surprised because of the fact that I feel like these quarterbacks that were drafted this year probably need to sit a year or two. Josh Rosen's the only one who I feel maybe is ready to go from day one. Okay, and congrats to the Cardinals on getting the best quarterback in the draft for me. Browns very well could have gotten the best. It's just a matter of, I guess we'll have to wait and see about that. But as far as Sam Darnold goes, I'm still trying to figure out why the Jets brought in Teddy Bridgewater and Josh McCown if they're still going to allow Sam Darnold the chance to be the day one starter, because one of those guys is getting cut in McCown and Bridgewater, and I probably end up checking what their contract situations are looking like. I know Bridgewater's making next to nothing. Okay, and I think actually Josh McCown is actually making more than him. Let's see real quick. Head over to quarterbacks. And also yesterday, I don't think we mentioned it, but Matt Ryan, or did we talk about it? Yeah, I think we did talk about it. So yeah, we did, so never mind. So yeah, Josh McCown's at 1 year, $10 million guaranteed. Teddy Bridgewater's got 1 year, $6 million, but he's only got $1 million guaranteed. Okay. I got to think that since McCown's the one who's getting paid all that money, $10 million guaranteed, Bridgewater's going to be the one that gets cut if Darnold ends up winning the starting job, right? He's got to be. Even if Darnold ends up being the backup quarterback, you're not going to keep Teddy Bridgewater as the third string. Teddy Bridgewater could very well be out of the league after this year. No team picking him up or anything like that, which is just ridiculous because of the fact that I understand that he blew out his knee and all that, and it was a gruesome injury. But you got to give the guy a chance at least, because he was a good quarterback for the Vikings before he got hurt. I think they even made the playoffs one time with him. So we'll see, but nonetheless, as far as Sam Darnold starting for the Jets, I'm not really sure that they got a solid enough team around him to throw him out there, to be honest. Okay? The wide receiver situation isn't great. Running back situation, you brought in Isaiah Crowell, so that's all you need to know there. Tight ends, I can't remember if they brought back Safarian Jenkins or not. So we'll see, but like I said, I just feel like starting Sam Darnold probably isn't the right move. So we got two games going on tonight in the NBA. We got the Warriors versus Pelicans. Warriors favored by 4.5 in that one. And then we got the Rockets versus Jazz. Houston favored by 4.5 in that one also. All right. With the Warriors, it's just a matter of when they're going to win this series, not if. And with the Rockets, they got to hold off Utah. Utah's looking good. All right. So my picks for tonight, I got the Warriors. And then between the Rockets and Jazz, I'm going to go I don't want to get too carried away here picking Utah. I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to go with the Rockets. I'm going to say they're going to play well. I'm going to say they're going to pick up the win tonight. So I got the Rockets tonight. All right. So let's see. Anything else going on in the world of sports? That's pretty much it. So we're going to wrap it up here. Today we talked about Cleveland versus Toronto. Toronto just doesn't look good right now. Looking like they could get swept in Cleveland. It's going to be tough for them to get a couple of wins out there. Boston and Philly. Brad Stevens is currently out coaching Brett Brown. Ben Simmons has been pretty, not that good so far in the first two games. Terry Rozier, Jason Tatum, and Al Horford. Boston's big three right now so far in the playoffs. They look good. We also talked to Matt Harvey getting designated for an assignment by the Mets. Going to be interesting to see what happens with him, who he ends up with. I think it's a good boom by the Mets. I figured that, it was time to break it up there. Yankees starting to make a comeback on the Red Sox here. And then for this segment, we talked a bit about Tiger Woods, Sam Darnold. And let's see, we talked about anything else? I think that was pretty much it. Oh, we talked about the Raiders too. So, also made my picks. I got the Warriors and Rockets winning tonight. So thanks for listening to the GSMC Sports Podcast. As always, I am your host, Jesse Tapia. We'll be back next Tuesday, I believe, so stay tuned, and we'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Sports Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.